I'm Mark, and this is my podcast discussing social issues called Locked in Society. Today, I have three special guests: Mary, a former inmate; Bobby, a local business owner; and Catherine, an ex police officer. I'll be asking you a few pressing questions today to reveal some of the issues with the prison complex. First off, I would like to ask Mary, how did you end up in prison and what was it like there?
Thank you, Mark. I'll start with how I ended up in prison. I was walking home from the supermarket and a police car rolled up to me and asked me what I had in my grocery bag. Apparently, there was a drug ring going around where they transported drugs by making them look like they were in groceries. He thought I was just walking around with a big old bag of drugs. You know, like those brown bags you get from Safeway. Those things aren't small. Anyways, he stopped me and started questioning me.
What did he ask you?
Well, it seemed that he thought I was part of the drug ring since I was black and walking home late at night in a poor neighborhood. He told me to give him the grocery bag for inspection, so I did. He took it back to his car, and when he came back, he flashed a gram of crack. He said it was mine. I just went to the grocery store. I just needed milk and cereal for my young boy. I also wanted to get some cheese to try to get him to eat his vegetables. I swear that boy won't eat his veggies unless there's cheese on them.
Sounds like a funny boy.
He is. He was 4 years old then. The officer arrested me for drug possession. I have a white friend who had a cousin who got put away for the same thing, and they gave him 2 months and a slap on the wrist. But me, I got a year away from my baby.
Can you tell me what it was like in prison?
I went to a prison named Lincoln, and you've probably heard that in private prisons the conditions are much worse. The medical services they had were barely acceptable. They didn't even have actual doctors, just some measly nurses in training. When Lincoln got overcrowded, they sent up tents outside the courtyard. Riots broke out pretty often, and this was just the beginning of some of the conditions. It just isn't fair. It wasn't humane sometimes.
Thank you, Mary, for that insight. I would now like to move on to Bobby. Bobby, how did the prison rolling into town affect your business?
Well, you see, I've worked in my family's supermarket since I was 14. I'm 84 now. I've seen this pound grow and get knocked down by that damn prison.
How so?
At my place, we sell local organic fruits and vegetables. The locals used to love us. Then once prison came into town, before you knew it, there were Safeways and Walmarts popping up on every block. They came into town with their GMO-stuffed, dull-tasting fruit. But with the prison and more families losing the main moneymaker in the household, people had to cut back on prices. They were buying these gross fruits and vegetables because their prices are lower.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. I used to know everyone in this little town. Nice folks, all of them. I saw how it affected the economy. It plummeted. I saw folks who had lived their whole lives here move out of town because it was getting so bad. The prison did not benefit the local economy at all. Like the guards at the Lincoln prison, they didn't pay local taxes. I actually knew a prison guard. Michael was his name. He was a tailor from out of town and decided to become a prison guard for the work. Little racist man, untrained to hell. He had no business being in that prison. Man had no family, no empathy, and no morals. Funny at the bar though, man could take shots like none other. Anyways, my business was booming as everyone got their healthiest from me. Now I feel like I barely see anyone anymore. I wonder how they are doing. I love asking people how they are and their families were doing. Some would even invite me over occasionally to make food the stuff they had bought from my store.
You should come over sometime and eat with me and my boy. We still buy from your store.
Thank you, Mary. I'd be happy to.
Now, finally, on to Catherine. Can you please tell us what it's been like for you? What is it really like in the system?
First off, I just want to say sorry to both Mary and Bobby. I'm so sorry that I was even part of the system that destroyed your lives. I can't say sorry enough.
It's all right. You weren't the officer that arrested me.
And you didn't bring Walmart into town.
But I was part of that system. I'm sorry. I started off as military. I started off wanting to help people. I always wanted to just help people. I grew up in this town, and I thought if I went off and helped my country for a little while, I could come back stronger for this community. But that's not how it ended at all. They started me off with a desk job, which I didn't mind. I knew I was still helping with listening to phone calls and dealing with petty crimes, but I worked that desk job for 2 years. I wanted to be out on the street helping the community I came from, so I asked my supervisor for promotion. He agreed and assigned me to a dangerous part of the neighborhood right off the bat. I was confused. I knew most of our officers were there already. Why did they need one more there? He said that was my first lesson, was to not question orders. So I obeyed. I was out there roaming about, but I saw where I grew up. I knew the families, all good people who wanted to do good things with their lives. A few months later, my supervisor told me I wasn't keeping up with the other officers. I'd been making steady arrests, but he told me I needed to bring in worse guys. He said that the blacks tended to do worse crimes. I should focus my efforts on them to make the neighborhood safer. So that's what my partner and I did. For years, we kept bringing in more and more people of color, faster and faster, sometimes so fast I didn't even realize I had arrested them until they were locked up. You know, the young kids got to me the most. I have a young girl myself. She's an angsty teen now and hates me, but I would do anything to protect her. I thought the faster I got these thugs off the street, the more I was protecting her. But one day, about a year ago, I brought in this girl who reminded me of her. It felt like I was locking my own daughter up. I realized too late that all these years I was targeting a certain neighborhood just to fill up this quota that my supervisor had given me. I wasn't helping my community. I was making it worse. I was taking people away from their families. I'll never be able to take back those years. So now I try to make up for it by doing social work. I try to rehabilitate people just out of the system and try to help young people before they go down a bad road. This is really the most fulfilling thing I've done in my whole life.
Would you like to join Bobby and I for dinner?
That sounds great. Can I bring my daughter?
Of course.
See you there.
Thank you for your story. That's all the time we have today. Thank you all for coming and telling your side to things. I hope listeners got a little more of an insight to how detrimental the prison system truly is. This has been Locked in Society.